Hi guys, this is the next part of What If Gohan Never Stopped Training. I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe as it helps me a lot and to ensure you never miss another exciting story. Over the next course of the next 2 weeks, Gohan and Piccolo developed a simple method to stay sane. At the start of every class, Gohan would take 15 to 20 minutes to complete his work while Piccolo meditated quietly. Then, it was Piccolo's turn to work with Dende while Gohan stayed quiet. Their afternoon training sessions had been progressing nicely. They had figured out how to anchor the key sphere to both of them, so it traveled with them. In addition, Piccolo had come up with a way to make it more flexible so it stretched and moved even if they were at opposite ends. The modifications meant they could actually spar within the sphere without Gohan's immense power damaging their surroundings. Gohan had been unable to convince Chi-Chi to let him graduate early, but she was willing to considering his feelings on his future. Gohan planned to take Bulma up on her job offer. It was something he not only enjoyed, but both he and Piccolo could live with. Sitting in class Friday afternoon, Gohan could feel Piccolo returning to his waterfall. Dende's lesson had not gone well. The young Kami had been tense and distracted, acting as though he did not fit into his own skin. What could be bothering him so much? Piccolo? I've never seen Dende act like that. I'm not sure, but you know what a concerned Kami usually means. Gohan grimaced. Hearing the bell ring, he automatically got up and headed for gym, absorbed in his conversation with Piccolo. Inattentive to his actions and surroundings, he did not notice the attention of the entire class on him. Krillin did not like the look on Gohan's face. He had only seen it a few times before and never under happy circumstances. Coach, what's with brains? Sharpener asked quietly. Krillin turned his attention to the class and the expectant eyes that had been drilling a hole into his back. Ever since not only finding out about Gohan's past, but also realizing what he had done to himself in order to keep them all safe on the field trip, the entire class had developed an almost proprietary attitude towards him. Even if the rest of the world did not know who he was, they did. Therefore, if something was upsetting their Gohan, they wanted to know about it. Krillin doubted Gohan was even aware of it. I'm not sure. Leave him be about it. If he wants you to know, he'll tell you. The class nodded glumly. They just wanted to help him. Struck with a sudden thought, he turned back to Gohan. Yo, Earth to Gohan. Ripping his thoughts away from Dende's disturbing behavior, Gohan walked over to Krillin, crossing his arms over his chest, he cocked a brow in question. Krillin smiled. Gohan had looked just like Piccolo for a moment. I've noticed a lack of basic control in the class's movements, overextending, not extending far enough, and so on. Since you learned from the Master of Control, why don't you teach the entire class today? Piccolo must have taught you something that would help. Gohan had seen what Krillin was talking about. Ever since returning from the desert, most of the class was trying to emulate the way they had seen the Z-Warriors move. However, without the foreknowledge and proper training, it would not be long before someone was seriously injured. Gohan nodded to Krillin, accepting, after all, he was right. No one was more controlled than Piccolo and he knew something that might help. I'll lead. Can you walk the room and correct please? After spacing everyone out, Gohan began a very slow kata. Miles away, Piccolo joined him in the calming exercise, their bodies moving as one despite the distance. The motions captivated the students. They had a beautiful fluidic grace to them that belied the strain and control it took to complete each one. Follow my movements. Feel each breath, slow and steady. You decide when to exhale. Not the demands of the body, control each one. Pull from your center. Let that calm energy flow through to your fingers. Power, strength, they are nothing without control. Krillin quietly walked amongst his students, carefully correcting posture or stance. It was as though Gohan had cast a spell over them. No one made a sound. Everything was concentrated on the repetitive motions, so achingly slow that it took everything the teens had to control their shaking muscles. By the end of class, both Gohan and Piccolo felt better. They had decided that Gohan would go to the lookout after school. Maybe Dende would feel comfortable confiding in him. Hearing the bell, Gohan quickly exited, hoping he could help with whatever was bothering his friend. Dende waved goodbye to his friend sadly. He knew why Gohan had come to visit him. After all, since Piccolo knew something was bothering him, then Gohan knew. But he had no idea what to tell him. He did not know what was wrong. The feeling was just there. The young Kami decided to let it ride for a while. He did not want to worry anyone over what was probably nothing at all. Growling lightly in frustration, Gohan joined Piccolo in the desert. Dende was not sharing. Whatever was bothering him did not appear to be a threat to the earth that anyone else could sense. However, whatever it was bothered him enough to be inattentive in his duties. Dende was very dedicated to his charges, he would not be this distracted over nothing. Turning to Piccolo, the two warriors cast their ki sphere together. They wanted to try something new today. After powering into an ascended Super Saiyan, Gohan suppressed his power. He wanted to maintain his ascended form, but keep his energy at par with the first level. Meanwhile, Piccolo powered up to his maximum. By keeping their respective energy levels at those points, both warriors would gain strength and increase their control. Reveling in the fact that it was a Friday afternoon and they had the whole weekend ahead of them, the friends began. Advancing, Piccolo went on the offense. Concentrating his ki into each hit, he searched for a break in Gohan's defenses. Spinning suddenly, the half-breed kicked at his sensei's ribs, just as Piccolo's fist connected with his jaw. Slamming into the ground, they smirked at each other. Blasting back into the sky, they met once more. The concussive force of their blows reverberated inside of the sphere, buffeting them with leftover energy. Piccolo phased in above Gohan and attempted to hit him with a Masenko. Reacting purely on instinct, Gohan reached up and grabbed Piccolo's ankles, throwing him into his own attack. Before the Namek could recover, Gohan fired his own Masenko blast. The force buried Piccolo into a canyon wall. A spiral of yellow energy burst forth from Piccolo's rocky resting place. Caught off guard, Gohan's only warning was his friend's satisfaction. Dodging, he tried to regain the upper hand. Blow after blow, they continued in their relentless assault, each struggling to neither rise above or fall below the predetermined energy levels. Gohan called a sudden halt. Vegeta was a few hundred yards away at the edge of the sphere, with a livid expression on his face. Chi-Chi set the table and sighed in annoyance. She knew Gohan had planned to spar with that monster after school, but he was late for dinner. Glancing at her youngest, she said, "Goten sweetie, go find your brother for me, okay? Tell him to come home for dinner." "Okay mommy," Goten called out happily, dashing for the door. Skidding to a sudden halt, he turned back to his mother, a puzzled look on his face. "Mommy, I can't feel Gohan." "What are you talking about, sweetie? Gohan taught me how to sense his ki, that way I could always find him if I needed to. I can't feel him. Where is he?" The little boy looked alarmed. He had always known where his brother was. Not knowing was disconcerting. "Goten, you cannot sense your brother's ki at all?" Chi-Chi asked frantically. The only reason in her experience for someone's ki to disappear was either severe injuries or death. Terrified that the monster had hurt her baby, she ran to the phone and called Bulma, hoping Vegeta would be able to find her son. Racing through CC, Bulma hit the emergency shutdown on the GR. Bursting into the room, she opened her mouth to speak. Vegeta beat her to it. "Woman, what do you think you are doing?" Vegeta demanded, growling at his mate irritably. "Vegeta, can you sense Gohan? Can you tell where he is?" she asked urgently. "You interrupted my training to ask me that." "Shut up, Vegeta. Goten can't sense him, he can't find him. Please." Still glaring at her, Vegeta extended his senses to find the boy. Kakabrad would have to pay for this interruption. The glare fell from his face, a frown replaced it. Where was he? "Vegeta, wait woman." Concentrating, he increased his search. Nothing, not even the smallest trace of the boy's energy. Though he would never admit that to anyone, his inability to find Gohan worried him. He began searching for Piccolo's ki. If you found the green bean, you inevitably found Gohan. Vegeta's eyes met Bulma's. Piccolo and Gohan were gone. Vegeta?" Bulma asked, terrified by the look she saw in his eyes. Walking over to his mate, he pulled her close. "I cannot sense the boy or the Namek. There are only two explanations, they are either dead or close to it. No, please, Vegeta, you have to find them." Bulma's eyes filled with tears. They had already lost Goku, they couldn't lose Gohan too. Nodding sharply, he released her and ran from the room. Deciding to first search the areas the pair were known to frequent, Vegeta headed for the waterfall. He was genuinely upset that the boy might be gone. While it disgusted him to no end that a mere child had surpassed him, at least the child had Saiyan blood. Arriving at Piccolo's waterfall, he searched the surrounding area carefully. Empty-handed, he raced for the desert they were so fond of. The sight of the two missing warriors sparring rather than unconscious or dead surprised the Saiyan prince. Vegeta once again attempted to feel their ki, still nothing. Frustrated and angry that he had indulged in a moment of emotional weakness, he snarled at them. Then he noticed that Gohan was fighting in his ascended form against the Namek. To his astonishment, he watched Piccolo meeting him blow for blow. Did that mean that he had been surpassed yet again? Roaring in rage, he flew engrossed pair. He did not make it very far. A few hundred yards away from them, he was forced to stop. The air felt thick and hot, and he could not push through the invisible barrier. Gohan turned toward Vegeta, noting his apparent anger. The two powered down to their resting rates and Gohan lowered the barrier. Suddenly able to feel their ki, Vegeta charged the objects of his frustration and blasted the two of them. As the smoke cleared, Gohan and Piccolo hovered, unharmed by his attack. Gohan had gotten very good at ki shields. "What can we do for you, Vegeta?" Gohan asked. A vein started pulsing on Vegeta's forehead and his eyelid twitched. "What do you Bakas think you are doing?" "I think it's called sparring," Piccolo answered. Growling, Vegeta blasted them again. The harpy called the woman blathering about Kakabrat number 2 being unable to find you. "You disturbed my training time. Now, what in hell were you doing? Why couldn't I feel your ki? What was that barrier?" Gohan brushed the questions to the side and focused on what was important to him. "Wait, Goten was trying to find me." A sick hollow feeling filled his chest as he realized he had distressed his family. Turning towards his home, he started to leave. Vegeta blocked his path. "I don't think so. First, you will answer my questions and then you will go to the woman. After that you will be allowed to go to the harpy," Vegeta stated arrogantly. There was no way he is letting the brat go without answers, especially after worrying his mate. Piccolo. "Sure kid." Piccolo blasted off to CC to speak with Bulma. Gohan turned his attention back to the Saiyan Prince. "Piccolo is letting Bulma know we are alright. You will move. I need to get home." His voice was low and calm, but inside he was frantic in his need to get home. The vein in Vegeta's forehead seemed to increase in size. He aimed for Gohan, charging up yet another blast. Suddenly Gohan was behind him. Vegeta had not been able to follow the movement. "I gave you 2 free shots, but you are trying my patience. Control yourself. Now, I apologize for distressing Bulma, that was not my intention. You and I both know you don't like anything upsetting her. Piccolo has already reached CC. She is fine and I will apologize to her myself later. I might also consider answering your questions at some point, but not right now. I need to attend to my family first." Leaping into the air, Gohan sped toward his home. The excess energy knocked Vegeta back a step. Shaking his head in annoyance, he watched him leave. Vegeta returned to his GR, thinking that for his sake, the Namek had better have sufficiently calmed Bulma. Gohan landed outside of his home. Running inside, he found Goten and scooped him into his arms. "Big brother, you're home," Goten shouted happily, all of his previous concern instantly melting away. "Yup," he said, squeezing him tightly. "I am so sorry if I worried you, Goten. I was practicing a new technique and," sung Gohan. Cringing lightly, Gohan turned to face the music. Gohan watched in horror as Krillin's face turned blue, pained gasps escaping his lips. There was blood everywhere and Frieza's cruel, mocking laugh seemed to echo from all around him. Suddenly he found himself staring into Cell's pink eyes, as an immense blast headed straight for Vegeta. He couldn't move, he'd never make it in time. The loud roar of thunder woke Gohan up. Shaking and disoriented, he sat up, sweat gleaming on his bare chest. Running a trembling hand through his hair, he looked out the window at the stars. There were stars, not clouds, he mused. Reality adjusted and he realized Piccolo had woken up, pulling him from his nightmares. Glancing at the clock, the red numbers mocked him, 1:02 a.m., he had only been asleep for 10 minutes this time. It had been a bad night. Every time he closed his eyes, the horrific images bombarded his mind. The feeling he had failed Goten on some level by worrying him was probably the trigger for tonight's torment. Feeling Piccolo heading for him, Gohan rose from his bed. After grabbing a shirt, he floated down to the kitchen, not wanting to wake anyone else up. Leaving a quick note on the table, he met his friend outside. Settling under a large tree at the edge of the yard, the two companions slid into identical floating poses. Piccolo pulled Gohan into a deep meditation. If the kid couldn't sleep, then this was the next best thing. Gohan sighed in relief. Piccolo was able to reach a level of meditation that he could not. It was soft and deep, so very restful. Over the years, on the nights when his nightmares chased him relentlessly, Piccolo would come to him. pulling him into that wonderful place where he could rest without fear. Chi-Chi woke up a little while after dawn. She had not slept well. Hearing Gohan calling out in his sleep had kept her up worrying about him. She had learned not to try to wake him when his past haunted him. Unaware of his surroundings, he could easily harm those around him if startled. She felt guilty for yelling at Gohan last night and hoped it had not triggered his restless night. Chi-Chi knew he had never meant to worry anyone, it simply was not in his nature. After she had finished lecturing him, he had explained the incident. Ever the protector, her son had come up with a bubble-like shield. He could keep whoever was inside his bubble safe. He had also told her that it could in turn protect the area around him from the damaging effect of his energy. She recalled the haunted look on his face as he swore he would never again use the technique without warning them first. His eyes had looked so miserable as he held onto Goten, silently begging their forgiveness. Heading into the kitchen, a note caught her eye. Shaking her head, she glanced out the window. There was her baby, with him, the bane of her existence, the man that had stolen her son all those years ago and had never truly given him back. Annoyed, she began rooting through the cabinets, finding what she needed for breakfast. Setting a kettle onto the stove, she sat for a moment. Sighing, she rested her head on her hands. She was not being fair to Gohan. If she was honest with herself, she had been snapping at him for a couple weeks now, angry about something that was not his fault. Waiting for him at CC after that class trip, all of the kids kept talking about how wonderful Gohan had been. Almost like a superhero, dashing in to rescue them. But she had noticed that no one talked about just spending time with him out there. It was frustrating to realize that he had been too busy taking care of everyone else to simply enjoy the trip. Then his teacher had approached her. The man had thanked her, telling her how Gohan had kept everyone out of mischief, including him. Then he had blindsided her, saying how wonderful it was that Gohan had such a strong and dedicated father figure in his life. Chi-Chi had been so upset she couldn't remember answering the man. Father figure? Had Gohan's teacher honestly just referred to Piccolo as her son's father figure? Not only that, but it had been said with such respect towards the Namekian. As the kettle started to whistle, she rose, pulling it off the fire. Pulling out a couple cups, she found herself staring at Gohan's favorite mug. On his last birthday, it had just suddenly appeared in front of him. She knew it had been a gift from Piccolo. The mug was a deep plum color with foreign symbols etched around the rim. Gohan had laughed reading the message. However, it was not the cup's message that made Gohan so happy. It was the construction. The mug was thick and heavy, weighing at least 10 pounds. Gohan had told her it was the first time in years he did not feel like he was going to break his cup just by holding it wrong. Piccolo knew her son so well that he had seen how much the simple gift would mean to him. Leaving the tea to steep, she glanced out the window again. Her little boy looked so peaceful. His face was completely relaxed and his posture lacked its usual rigidity as he floated in tandem with Piccolo. Looking back, she realized that Piccolo had always been there for him. He came whenever the nightmares chased Gohan in his sleep. Sometimes, when she noticed Gohan's mood slipping, Piccolo would pull him away. Her son would return a few hours later, content. All she wanted for him was a happy, normal life with a wife, kids, a home, and the career she had always envisioned for him. Sending him to school was her way of giving him an opportunity to have life. But her little boy wasn't so little anymore. He was a strong man, with his own wants and plans. While she still felt it would be good for him to finish the school year out, she would respect his wishes on his future. A freelance inventor, she had never seen that one coming. Still looking out at the floating figures, Chi-Chi reflected on that statement once again, a strong and dedicated father figure. She supposed that was true and maybe it was time she started accepting it. She filled a tall glass with fresh water and grabbed Gohan's mug of tea, curls of steam drifting from its contents. Walking outside, she handed each man his respective morning beverage and walked back into the house to start breakfast. Piccolo blinked in surprise. The Banshee woman had just all but shoved a glass of water at him. She had not even yelled at him for being too close to her home, let alone the fact that Gohan was outside. Staring at the water suspiciously, he wondered if it was poisoned. No, she wouldn't poison you. Gohan grinned at his sensei over the rim of his cup. He was relaxed and content from their meditation. Then cared to explain, maybe she was just being nice. She is a very kind person, Piccolo. Piccolo had seen Gohan's memories. From the kid's point of view, he knew that Chi-Chi was a loving and caring woman, even if her methods tended to be a bit abrasive. However, he had never been on the receiving end of her softer side. Deciding to risk it, he sipped his water. Dende paced in agitation high above the earth. His dreams had been fragmented, disturbed images of pain, hatred, and terrifying blankness. More than once, he had run to edge of the lookout, frantically searching the planet below. Whatever this was, it seemed to be getting worse. King Kai, sir, are you there? Dende tentatively reached out to his superior. Yes, Dende, I'm here. What can I do for the Earth's guardian today? Well, sir, I need your help. There is something wrong. I do not know what it is. It does not appear to be on Earth, but it is horrible. I can feel whatever it is pressing down on me. There is nothing physically there but. He trailed off helplessly. Interesting. Are you the only one sensing this presence? Yes, King Kai. No one else seems bothered by it. Give me a moment, I'll scan around. Being a kami, you might be sensing something approaching your planet. King Kai was silent for several minutes. Dende waited anxiously, feeling almost foolish. What if it was nothing after all? No. King Kai screamed. Sir, what is it? What do you see? Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to ensure you never miss another exciting story. Next episode will be up soon.